I'm with you. All right, good on you. Into the election campaign, is that all it is? And both parties are fighting very hard for the attention of voters. They're bombarding our TVs, radio and even social media accounts.
Advertising expert Caroline Miller and political strategist Bruce Hawker join us now. Strategist or strategist?
Strategist.
Probably strategist.
I say strategist.
Yeah.
Since we last met, both parties have released new ads. Let's take a look.
We will commit $500 million.
$450 million.
We will spend $175 million. $60 million.
Extra $40 million.
An extra $48 million. Yeah, you can put that on the spender meter. That's another million.
We have every resource available to us to meet the challenge of climate change, except for one, and that is leadership.
All right, two very different examples now. Bruce Turnbull has been calling Shorten billion-dollar bill, and the ad certainly plays to that. Are these types of slogans, you know, cutting through? I mean, in the States at the moment, Donald Trump's doing the same thing with these nicknames for you know, Crooked Hillary and Lion Ted and that kind of stuff. Do those kind of slogans work?
They can. It just depends on whether there's a ring of truth about them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the government last week, when they tried to prosecute that argument, Scott Morrison and Matthias Cormann got into a lot of trouble.
They sure did.
And that sort of took a lot of the gloss off the $1 billion. You know. So it has to be authentic.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that little issue a little bit closer as well. What do you reckon, Carolyn? Because it's sort of the $1 billion bill tagline. It sort of almost feels, you know, we get it, we understand it. We can sort of don't have to have it said repeatedly over and over again.
But people love something they can hang on to really quickly. And funnily enough, though, for a lot of swinging voters, they don't actually make up their minds until they're right in the booth. Like, they don't make up their minds till the last week. So having these things to kind of build up to the momentum to that last week, so you can basically reaffirm that your decision that you're making is right in the booth, it's good to have something that you can hang on to.
Interesting that the latest polls as well showing that the number of undecided voters is actually increasing. So that's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, that's really working then, isn't it?
This week we also saw opposition leader Bill Shorten receive some praise from an unlikely source.
Bill Shorten is very caring and very much in touch, and Bill Shorten every single day is promoting our National Economic Plan for Jobs and Growth.
I assume you mean Malcolm Turnbull. You accidentally said that Bill Shorten is committed to jobs.
Someone's a bit tired on the election campaign, one of those Freudian slips. Is this something that is going to come back to haunt him?
I feel so sorry for Matthias in this.
You could just see the look on his face when he realised what he said. It was just like, oh,
He goes, I said that, didn't I?
Because, I mean, the Liberal Party, they base themselves really into financial matters. That's where they do have kind of the strength over social matters that the Labor Party does. And so for him, he's been appointed as an official spokesperson for the Liberal campaign, and I think that he would have been just humiliated by that. So
but everyone makes mistakes, though, right?
Oh, they do, but in an election campaign, you know, you're fair game, and I can see this being an ad that we'll be discussing in a few weeks' time.
And Bill wasted no time in immediately recirculating that, so I think the Labor Party just, you know, had a win for them.
But does it bring about some sympathy from voters at all, do you think? Do people sort of think, oh, OK, they're human after all?
It's very hard for politicians to garner too much sympathy. That's the truth.
Yeah,
you know, they really have to be in big trouble.
We're hard taskmasters with voters.
Yeah, I mean, and his party too would have recognised the magnitude of something like that. You know, how advantageous that could be for Labor.
The other side.
Yeah.
And they would be planning around that, you know, as best as they can, and they tried to cover for it, I think, the next day. But look, those things happen, and I don't think at the end of the day it's going to change the outcome of the election. It's just one of those niggly little, you know, burrs under the saddle, which are going to cause some grief along the way.
Yeah, I think that honestly Liberals are going to try and minimise this and just get it off the radar as soon as possible, and Labor will probably try and elevate it as well.
But I guess that mistake coming soon, hot on the heels really of the era with the costings, that sort of coupled so close together was probably more damaging.
It was, and you know, the costings thing was a much bigger problem, I think, for the government because
they just looked foolish.
They did, and you know, it was like a black hole within a black hole that suddenly appeared in the course of the press conference. It's one of those horror moments, and you know, I've been in campaigns where it's happened to our side as well, and it's you just wipe the day, and you know that that's going to dominate the following day, maybe the day after as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to perhaps one of the weirdest political ads so far. The Liberal Democrats Senator David Leyonhjelm has released this clip on Facebook.
I've spent 30 years building this up, and it's still growing. I hope Malcolm and Bill take good care of it. Oi, Bill, Mel, back off. That's my super. Mel and Bill are coming after your super. Mel even wants to limit what you started building up 9 years ago. We need to get them under control. If you're a Liberal voter, send Mel a message by putting Liberal Democrats 1, Liberals 2 on the big Senate voting paper. Vote for the Liberal Democrats and we'll keep their grubby paws off your super.
Oh, it's just cringy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is quite interesting, but do you think the sell was good?
You know what? They're using dogs and people love that sort of stuff, particularly in social media.
But he's so robotic in his delivery. He's trying to be funny.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and because the Democrats, or the Liberal Democrats, have always gone through this, we'll keep them honest in the Senate kind of space. But the execution of that does feel very robotic. But I think this is where the fun of political advertising comes in, is when it's not schmick. And it does feel a bit ropey, and certainly down more in local campaiigning.
You love this stuff.
I do.
You guys love it.
Absolutely. When it goes a bit off-brand.
And that ad is so bad it's good.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah, and it looks like he's in a cell as well, which may be the right place, I don't know. But he's got some free advertising out of that today, though. I mean, the fact that it's a bad ad has actually got us talking about it.
And social media is providing that sort of domain, I suppose, for not just those schmick ads, but you really can put out any idea you want, and it does get that cut through.
Yeah, as long as it's a good idea. I think that was really interesting to see before the election campaign started, they had the Green senator who was actually setting fire to the river in Queensland. And that was something that got huge viral traction because it was about fracking and showing that the river, because of the gas release, could actually be lit on fire. And it got a huge amount of release kind of through social media because people were just shocked by it. So.
Well, Lucy Turnbull has featured in the Herald Sun today. This is the introduction, I suppose, of the partners. You know, will we see more of this?
We will. And
because it humanises them?
It does. And she's well known in her own right, and she's a respected figure. So I think we'll see more of her, and we'll see more of Chloe Shorten as well.
Do you think we should be seeing a lot more of her, though? Because in terms of softening the image for Bill Shorten, Chloe is considered quite an important asset for Labor.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And, you know, there's a real interest in political spouses. In campaigns, we do whole, inserts into magazines where we'll have 12 pages on the life of a political leader. You might even see it in this campaign, and that includes the wife and family.
Because we're not meant to be presidential. We're meant to be... It's a parliamentary system, but it does come down to that presidential style. At
the end of the day, people often vote on instincts. And so if you can make people seem like they're a part of your world, if they seem like someone that you share the same values with, that's going to make them really appealing.
Speaking of presidential, sorry, Deb, Bill Shorten saying that Donald Trump's barking mad yesterday. I mean, is that a problem for him?
No one is ever going to criticise a politician for telling the truth.
But
I think he got points.
But what if Donald Trump becomes president? And Bill Shorten becomes Prime Minister?
Well, it's just like Abbott, shirt fronting Putin. These things are said in the heat of campaigns, and then the diplomats just smooth it all over.
And what do you think about Jackie Lambie's comments earlier on the show too? I don't know if you saw them, but she pretty much had a go at Malcolm Turnbull for not being himself. Speaking of being honest, she was quite disappointed in his leadership because he was being reined in by the party itself. Is she voicing something that a lot of people are thinking?
For sure.
I think that there was high expectations for Malcolm Turnbull when he first came into office. So, I mean, obviously we've had so many leadership spills as the government has evolved. But I think that Malcolm Turnbull was coming in as a business leader. He was coming in as someone who was strong and independent and someone who had a very successful career on his own right. And it does feel as though maybe some of the opinions that he was able to voice when he was communications minister and some of these things have been toned down and almost reflected in a way that it doesn't seem like it was his original position.
He doesn't look authentic.
Yeah.
And if he had maintained a sense of authenticity, been allowed to do the things he wants to do as a Prime Minister by a party which really doesn't want him on the right anyway, I think we'd be seeing a different campaign now. But he's really constrained by his own party, and that's a bad thing. The Prime Minister has to be bigger than the party. The opposition leader has to be bigger than the party.
And he's put that leather jacket in the back of the cupboard too that he used to wear for interviews.
Yeah.
Hey, I've noticed that.
Yeah, but, Bill Shorten wasn't expected to get anywhere near Malcolm Turnbull. True. And they're neck and neck. So.
He's having a very good campaign. And he is a campaigner. That's his political life. He's as a union leader. And
they were prepared for this. They were very prepared.
They were.
All right, we'll touch base with you guys. Week 3.
Excellent.
That's 2 segments we've done. I reckon we're 2 out of 2, 100% here.
Yeah. We're coming back. All right. Good on you. Thank you. Jack